Hello and welcome to Psychology Demystified. As promised, today's topic is going to cover extroverts. So today is Extrovert Day. Not officially, but it is for us. It's Extrovert Day. Now, what is an extrovert? An extrovert is someone who is typically characterized as being outgoing and has high energy and is also considered someone who is talkative. When you think about this term in general, it refers to a state of being where someone recharges or draws energy from being around other people. So in other words, they are the complete opposite of last week's introverts. The term extroversion was first proposed by a psychiatrist known as Carl Jung in the 1920s. So it's not something new, it's not a new term. People who identify as extroverts tend to look for new experiences and social connections with other individuals as much as they possibly can. So if you took the test last time, you either registered as an introvert, an extrovert, or an ambivert. But at the same time, you're still wondering, how does someone become classified as an extrovert? How do I know if I'm one? How do I know? Someone who is considered as being highly extroverted is bound to feel anxious or even bored when they find themselves in situations where they're alone. An extrovert will almost always choose to hang out in a group. When they spend time alone, they start to feel listless and restless. So an extrovert enjoys group hangouts. If you're an extrovert, it's very highly likely that you love to talk. And I don't mean just rambling on and on about something. You love to talk to friends, you love to talk to family, and you also love to talk to strangers, which means that you like to meet new people. You actually go out of your way to meet new people and learn about them. That's extroversion. An extrovert is someone who in general enjoys social situations and wants to have a full calendar. Schedule 1, schedule 2, number 1, 2, 3. I'm doing these 3 things today, and they all revolve around social interaction. True extroverts are often considered to be the life of a party. And because of how they are, they tend to clash with people who are truly introverted because then they just don't understand each other. One wants to be the life of the party and out there and having fun and being loud and just having a great time, while an introvert, on the other hand, wants to be in a corner and observe. And because of that, an introvert then sees an extrovert's behavior as overwhelming. But that's only because they're completely different personality types who maybe don't take enough time to understand each other. We can all get along. All of us can. Now, I talked about how extroverts thrive on being out in social situations. Another thing about extroverts, if you are an extrovert, it's that you'll notice that you are typically assertive, you are a go-getter, and you like to seize the day. You live on carpe diem. Doesn't mean that other people don't, but yours is more out there. Extroverts are also people who are great at thinking on their feet, and they're also people who don't back away from conflict. An extrovert will come at you when they want to. So conflict, not a big deal. Introverts, conflict, huge issue. And that's where the personalities clash. This is not to say that they don't necessarily have a filter. It's more that they believe that if you have a grievance, it needs to be aired, it needs to be talked about, it needs to be cleared up immediately, and instead of being allowed to fester. And that's why they're so open and okay with conflict. Now, this is a trait that some people might find surprising or scary about extroverts because they tell you like it is. But as long as you know that this is how they're wired and this is how they deal with conflict and they're okay with conflict, then you won't always feel like an extrovert is trying to attack you, because that is not what they're trying to do. They're thinking out loud, coming at you, trying to explain what's up, and then trying to find a solution openly with you, face to face. Extroverts love situations where they can get to see people and also to speak with them. So for extroverts, something like video conferencing is a great moment. And you'll find that a lot of extroverts are the ones who typically tend to speak up more than the others. It doesn't mean that they're trying to dominate the conversation, and please do not believe that that is what it is, because it's a misconception that because they speak up more, they're trying to dominate. It's not it. It's how they think. They think out loud. Extroverts love to speak as a way of organizing and exploring their ideas. And also sometimes they talk when they're trying to think things through. That's how extroverts function. So if that's how you function, by speaking your ideas out loud, whether you've thought them through or not, then chances are you are an extrovert. And it doesn't mean that you just talk randomly and unleash and have verbal diarrhea. It means that you just like to think aloud. Very thoughtful things, but you do it aloud. So for someone who is not someone who thinks out loud, like the introverts I talked about last time, and the extrovert cuts in and says what they want to say, they weren't aiming to cut you or sidestep you. It was just that they think on their feet. They think pretty much what they want to say is what they say, and they will not hesitate to have a one-to-one word battle with you. And that's where a lot of the disagreements come about. But that's just how extroverts think. They think out loud. They want to be in a social situation where they can speak, where they can see people. And for them, video conferencing is great. They are enjoying the Zoom calls and will probably be the ones who will initiate a Zoom call for everything. So they'll initiate a Zoom call or a Skype call for a Skype call. Those are the ones who do not want to email you. They want to see you, talk to you, and have a meeting. That's what an extrovert will want. When an extrovert is in a quiet environment, he or she will feel bored and restless, and it actually causes more anxiety than calmness for an extrovert because they want stimulation, they want to see what's going on, and they want action. So they want to be in a place which has many different things happening at the same time, not necessarily a quiet zone where everyone's not talking and doing chill activities. They want to go, 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 go. Extroverts love to share their fun. For them, when everyone's having fun, they're also having fun. An extrovert is someone at a party who will keep coming to check whether you're okay, do you need a drink, how can I do this, how can I do that. Extroverts are usually also the ones who will host the parties. And they make great hosts for parties because you always make sure there's a drink in your hand, that you have food, that you know where everything is, that you're dancing, they'll pull you to the dance floor. Always keep in mind that when an extrovert is doing this because they want to share the fun that they're having and want you to be part of it. They're not doing it to annoy you or to put you in the spotlight. And some people perceive it that way. And that was a huge misconception. Extroverts are not trying to put you in the spotlight so that they can embarrass you. They're trying to suck you into the joy that they're having because it's so much and they just want to share. Extroverts are sharers. They love to share their homes, their partying, their drinks, they just love to share. They're just a sharing group of people. That's what they are. And it's up to the introverts and the ambiverts to see it for just that. An extrovert is just trying to let you have as much fun as they're having. So see it as just that, accept it, and truly appreciate it. What a great quality to have, where you just want everyone to be happy. Extroverts are amazing at small talk. They can ask you about, your childhood and where you went to school and what your favorite meal is and get to know everything about you. And because they're so good at small talk and wanting to find out a lot about you, a lot of people then have this misconception that extroverts are nosy. They're not. It's their way of getting to know you. It's how they connect. And as long as you see that as them trying to make a connection so they can truly know you and then eventually have fun with you because they know you, then you will get to understand the beauty of extroversion, which is that they are embracing in their own culture of extroversion and they just want everyone to have fun and get to know each other. So when an extrovert comes at you asking questions about who you are, take it for what it is. They're not trying to pry into your life. They're not trying to be nosy. Okay, granted, there's some people who will be asking because they're nosy. However, as an extrovert who is a true extrovert, they're just trying to find out who you are. And that's it. They're just trying to get to know you. And then they will talk about themselves as freely as they're asking the questions. Extroverts are so good at striking up conversations with people that they tend to network very easily. They don't feel any reservations when they go out to network, and they can come up and and they're the ones who actually strike up business deals, even if it's during a party, because that's who they are. They find out who you are, find out what you do, and then find a way to work with you. So extroverts are very good at networking. So there are people of Sharas. You have to be an extrovert to actually do that job. Extroverts love brainstorming sessions. They love to share their ideas. They love to listen to ideas. And they're pretty much, again, as I said, they just share. it's what they do. They're sharers, so they love to brainstorm. An introvert will have an idea and keep it to themselves. An extrovert will want to just share the idea. And sometimes in work situations, this is where there's a clash, because an introvert believes that an extrovert just wants to give all of the ideas and an idea dump on them, while an extrovert believes that an introvert has these great ideas and just wants to keep them to themselves like an evil scientist. And that's not what it is. One's a sharer, just one is not. Two different personalities. As long as they understand each other, there will be less of so-and-so doesn't like to share their work and so-and-so shares too much. Get to understand each other's extroversion and introversion, and you'll get to see that everyone is coming from a good place. And as long as you assume good intentions first, then everything's going to be fine and dandy. Extroverts love taking on leadership roles because this is a chance for them to be able to share their ideas out loud, to think out loud, and to lead people in the direction that they would want to. It doesn't mean that they are bossy. They may sometimes come across as bossy to someone who is not an extrovert and sees it differently, but that's not what they're trying to do. They're trying to lead a meeting, schedule things, make sure they're going on, make sure that people are socially interacting, and they just love being in the leadership role. Other groups definitely can take on leadership roles, but they do so reluctantly, but when they have to step up, they do. But an extrovert will always want to take on a leadership role and will actually even be the one who will go out and campaign. They will want to campaign for senator, for governor, for all of those things, whereas an introvert or an ambivert may not necessarily want to. They may be pushed into it, but an extrovert will think of it and want to do it. Extroverts also tend to have a very large circle of friends. And these are groups of people who they can meet and come together and have an instant party with. And that means extroverts will probably have a house party where you end up with 50 or more people, whereas an introvert will have 6 or more people and think, oh, that's enough. An extrovert, the more, the merrier. An extrovert will tell you, absolutely, I'm having a party, bring whomever. An introvert, no way. So that's the difference between the two. Because extroverts make themselves easy to approach, a lot of people consider them likable as personalities. That does not mean that introverts and ambiverts are not. Just that extroverts seem to have a more open vibe to them, where they're not cautious and they just let you in and talk about their lives and everything that's going on. Some extroverts even let you into what issues they're having. And because of that vulnerability that they show you right from the get-go, a lot of people consider them easy to approach and like them right away, whereas an introvert will be okay with you not liking them immediately because they don't want you jumping into their personal space right then. But an extrovert, anything goes. Fine, yep, I'll be your friend. Yep, let's hang out. Yep, of course, bring so-and-so. Extroverts are just open, and that's why people consider them easy to approach. Extroverts are also more likely to take risks because for them, the benefit is a surge of chemicals that stimulate their brains. So extroverts are typically more of the risk takers in our society. They are the ones who will experiment with stuff. And if you're an extrovert, I don't need to go into what experimentation entails because you know what you've experimented with. So an extrovert is more likely to try everything. Extroverts typically adapt to a situation a lot quicker than other groups. And that is because even though they are organized in their own way, not all of them, mostly, some are, even if they are organized, not all extroverts execute a plan of action before they do something. It's do it now, figure out how it works. Extroverts are the ones who go out and decide, I'm going on a trip, I'm going on a vacation, and I'm going to backpack through Europe just because I feel like. That's an extrovert. They're like, I'm just gonna go and do this because I'm flexible. If I find a hotel room, it doesn't matter. I'll make friends and find a way, or I'll make a friend there and find an Airbnb. The other two groups will not necessarily do that, especially not the introverts. They have to know what's going on, who they're gonna see, and prepare themselves and brace for it, whereas an extrovert is open to whatever. Now, there's a belief that extroverts are always happy and bubbly and having fun, but they do have their down moments too, because at the same time, they are human. Yes, they thrive on social interaction, but there's some days where that social interaction may not be giving them what they're looking for. So extroverts are people who do have their highs and lows, but whenever they're out in a social situation, because that is their domain, then they will automatically seem happier than introverts. That doesn't mean that they are. They may seem happier than than introverts only because they are in their element. And that, in a nutshell, is extroverts. Extroverts are the most, I guess, covered topic for a lot of people, because for a long time, they were always the more socially acceptable and more psychologically adapted group according to others, because everyone thought that that's how everyone is supposed to behave. But now that we're learning to demystify all the different types of personalities, you're going to understand that the three groups work very well together when they understand each other. And that's why it was important to demystify extroverts today, to try and make sure that as we interact with each other, we stop seeing each other as abrasive, stop seeing each other as that person who likes to cut me off in meetings. We stop seeing each other as the one who likes to take my glory, because that's not what extroverts are doing. They're simply thinking out loud, executing quicker than you, because you're going to overthink it if you're an introvert, or think through it longer than they will, and trying just to get things done. So as long as we understand that, we will stop seeing extroverts as the ones who want to be in the limelight, because that is not an extrovert's goal. Their goal is simply to be heard, to have fun, to live life, to take risks, and to just be out there enjoying social interactions. And that's all they're doing. If they happen to step on your toes in the process, it is not an intentional thing. That is not what they set out to do. And if they did, maybe step back and evaluate why it affected you. Is it because you're different from them and that's why you didn't take time to understand them? Extroverts need love too. Look out for the ambivert video next week. I'm hoping this has helped to demystify our dear extroverts, and hopefully the introverts and extroverts who've watched this now know a bit more about each other and will start to have more conscious, positive interactions if they haven't before, because now they get to understand the beauty and the intricacies of each other's personalities. Thank you so much for watching. Please stay safe, wear a mask if you go out, and hugs and kindness always. Remember, be kind, because you don't know what someone's going through. It costs you nothing. Bye.